In the news tonight, 241 new infections with 1 COVID death. Provincial leaders urge to encourage vaccination. And pandemic causes global disruption in medicine production.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nunn.
Uluwinaka, Fiji has recorded another 241 new COVID infections in the last 24-hour period ending at 8 a.m. today, and a 50-year-old man has died from the virus. 5 cases are corrections officers from Suva at the Fiji Sugar Corporation compound in Rakiraki. Permanent Secretary for Health, Dr. James Fong, says they were undergoing 14 days quarantine at the FSC compound as part of the essential movement from the red zone to the green zone when they tested positive. The remaining cases are from the Lami Suva Nosori containment zone. There are 106 from existing areas of interest, with 17 from the following new areas of interest. One is the Fiji Times, Food City Suva, Matanisivoro Settlement, National Kidney Centre Nandera, Suva City Council and Tamavuaiwai. The remaining cases are contacts of known cases, cases that were seen in screening clinics and swabbed, and cases under investigation to determine possible sources of transmission. And Ritika Pratap joins us live now. Ritika, you have an update on the death toll.
Edwin, another tragic death for Fiji due to COVID-19. The 50-year-old man from Newtown, Nasinu, was declared dead on arrival by the doctors at the Valelevu Health Centre. He was reported to be in severe respiratory distress before his death. The man was also not fully vaccinated. Edwin, another death previously reported as under investigation has now been classified as a COVID-19 death. The 62-year-old man from Grantham Road, who presented at the FEMET Field Hospital in respiratory distress, died on the same day. The ministry has now recorded 17 deaths due to COVID-19. 15 of these deaths are from the current outbreak, which started in April.
Leaders of the 14 provinces have been urged to encourage their people to get the COVID-19 jab. Speaking during the Radio Fiji 1 Nai Lalakai program, Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama says the government needs the support of the Vanua and the church now more than ever in the fight against COVID-19. Sainia Nimboila reports.
The government is pleading with the Vanua and its people to get the message across for all eligible Fijian to get vaccinated.
During the Mbose Vanua is also being used to create more awareness on the need for every eligible Fijian to get vaccinated. The church leaders have also supported the effort as we work to get our lives back on track. This support is needed now more than ever.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama says as we continue the fight against the killer virus, Fijians must ensure they take the step of protecting themselves first.
I support the work that has been done so far. Some will speak against it, but I have heard some words of encouragement, and I am determined that we will fight and we will win.
He says rumors that Fiji is losing the fight against the virus is all a lie.
False statements on social media should not sway you. Know that Fiji is still fighting against the virus. Our frontliners are still working to help us win the battle. This is the time that we need your support.
The Prime Minister also commended the efforts by the Rokotuin Reketi, Tuinamosi and the Ba province as they continue to preach on the need to get the vaccination to members of their provinces. Sainia Nimboila, FBC News.
And we now join Kelly Vadala live. Kelly, what is our test positivity rate today, and what can you tell us about our epidemic outlook?
Yes, Edwin, as of now, Fiji's COVID-19 daily test positivity over a 7-day period stands at 7.9% and continues on an upward trend. This is 2.9% higher than the World Health Organization's 5% threshold. Fiji's daily testing numbers again are high as well. 150,878 samples have been tested since this outbreak began in April this year. All evidence also shows there is widespread community transmission in the Lami Suva Nosori containment zone. This means that the outbreak is not confined to specific areas. 49% of the target population, or 279,954 people have received their first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine, while 43,345 have received their second dose. Edwin.
Naka Kelly. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused global disruption in the supply of medicines and raw ingredients used to manufacture certain consumables. The Fiji Pharmaceutical Society president says the global issue has affected many countries, but local pharmacists are ensuring they have enough to cater for all Fijians. Rinal Chan says they are rationing medicine so that the sick aren't deprived. Kritika Kumar reports.
The import of some consumables and medicine remain constrained due to the global supply chain issues.
Raw ingredients as well, which has a knock-on effect in the production of medication, right? So there's a lot of components that goes into the manufacture of medications, and if any one of these is affected, it has a knock-on effect down the line in the production.
The Fiji pharmaceutical president says our two largest suppliers, Australia and India, have placed limitations on the amount of medicine that can be shipped out.
And this is where we get most of our drugs from, so they do limit how much they export, and that does affect us as well.
Health Minister Dr. Efremi Wangainambete says they are addressing and mitigating any shortage that they encounter.
That we've been able to use the networking that we have with our ability on the diplomatic front, but also more importantly the fact that we have freight coming through to Fiji.
The health minister has reassured that they continue to supply consumables and medicine to all health facilities. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
And to our latest COVID-19 update. There were 241 new cases in the 24-hour period ending at 8 a.m. The Central Division once again has the majority of new infections, recording 235 cases. Another 5 were recorded in Raki, while there is a lone case from Navua. Fiji has recorded 3,726 cases since April. There are now 3,027 active cases in isolation, with 779 recoveries in total. The COVID-19 death toll stands at 17. Up ahead, senior financial executive issued non-departure order and minister raises unfair trading concern. Welcome back. The Executive Director of Oceania Hospital Limited was produced in the Suva Magistrates Court today. Pramesh Sharma is charged with 13 counts of indecently annoying a person under Section 213 of the Crimes Act. Apanisa Wangairandovu with the details.
The Executive Director of Oceania Hospital is alleged to have indecently annoyed a former employee between 2018 and 2019. It is alleged that Sharma sent Viber messages to the complainant on several occasions. Each charge represents one alleged Viber message sent to the complainant. A stop departure order has been issued against Sharma, who has been granted bail with a bond of $2,000 and 2 sureties. The file has been transferred to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution to consolidate charges. The accused is represented by Filimoni Wasarongo, and the case will be called for mention on August 9th. Apiniso Grandobu, FBC News.
And we join Apanisa live now. Apanisa, this case is sure to make headlines and attract attention.
Edwin, it sure will be. After 2 days of questioning, Pramesh Sharma was charged last night. As mentioned, he appeared in court today, and while he has been released on bail, FBC News was able to gather more information regarding this case. It is claimed that the complainant had approached a prominent NGO between August to September last year, and on the alleged incident, however, we have been told there was no action taken, and it is then that the complainant approached the Human Rights Commission, where she was interviewed, and the matter was referred to police. Edwin.
Naka Apanisa. Small island developing states, including Fiji, are victims of unfair trading mechanisms. Fiji is concerned about inequality that's exacerbated by the World Trade Organization's new subsidies agreement on fisheries negotiations. Christiana Uluwai reports.
Fiji, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Honourable Chair.
Minister for Trade Fayez Koya has called on the need to reduce inequality in the global trading platforms where Fiji and the Pacific are minor players.
Madam Chair, we are in danger of further fueling unfair competition between subsidized fishers from large industrial fishing nations and the small island, small developing countries trying to develop their own fishing industries and worsening the inequality that already exists.
Meanwhile, the United Nations is aware of the drawbacks in efforts to address inequality in general during this pandemic.
Following COVID-19, we're really seeing some concerning signs and some regression, really, specifically in that area that we spoke of, reducing inequalities, which is goal number 10.
The World Trade Organization fisheries negotiations will be held in Geneva next month. The event will assess the state of play of the negotiations of the fisheries subsidies agreement and try to narrow the existing differences amongst the WTO members. Christiana Uluwai, FBC News.
A family of 5 is homeless after their 3-bedroom home was destroyed in a fire at Nangingi outside Lambasa yesterday. Homeowner Ahmad Shamir Hussain says they had just woken up when they were alerted of smoke coming out of their home by a neighbor. Hussain says he managed to get his wife and 3 children out of the house unharmed. Attempts to put the fire out proved futile.
I ran with the bucket. I went inside, all fire in the room. And we just tell my wife, hey, just bring the water, just put the water on the fire. But we can't do anything.
Food ration distribution continues to take place in parts of the Western Division. The Anatul Islam Association Lotoka branch decided to lend a helping hand to a few families who are in need. Philippe Naikaso with the details.
Over 100 food ration packs were distributed to families living in Tavua, Ba, Lotoka and Nandi, a much needed assistance during this tough time.
Whether it is Muslim or not, we should come in front to help the needy people, especially in this pandemic time, COVID-19. Majority of people are unemployed.
The assistance being given out was done after a survey by the association, as they wanted to assist families that are in desperate need. It was important for the members to show love and support to those that may be struggling.
The money which is coming was from our members who have forked out dollars out of their pockets to buy things and give it to the needy people.
The distribution focused entirely on those living outside the containment areas.
According to Islam, charity is as well as a social service. It is a part of our religions and as a part of our iman.
The association is now planning to do more food ration distribution in the coming weeks. Philippe Naikaso, FBC News.
The Fiji Agro Marketing Authority hopes to contract more farmers in the Maritime Islands to increase our fish supply to overseas markets. Chief Executive Alvin Sharma says they will identify more areas in the coming months and get more fishermen on board. He says farmers can contact them for such opportunities.
If you have the right variety and grades of fish, please get in touch with our officials and we will see what we can do for you.
The Suva City and the Lami Town Council have entered into an agreement with the Itoke Lands Trust Board. The memorandum of agreement will strengthen the relationship between the two municipal councils and the TLTB. Special Administrators Chair Isikeli Tikontundua says the agreement will enable them to discuss issues relating to leasing of land within the municipal boundaries. Tikontundua adds it will also enable them to discuss a land issue, planning and development of Itoke land. He says this will ensure lease compliance and enforcement, including landowners' issues, are effectively addressed. Tikondua says that they will be able to share information and data for the purpose of better community services, planning and decision making. Here, the local exchange rates are set early this morning. The Fiji dollar fell against the Chinese yuan, Kiwi dollar, euro and the Japanese yen, and gained against the US greenback, Aussie dollar and the PNG kina. On the commodities market, crude oil rose $1 at $74 a barrel. Gold dropped to close at $1,772 per ounce, and silver was down at $25.81 per ounce. And we now join Sinifa from HFC Bank to give us the latest figures from the money market.
Good evening. Looking at the latest on our local South Pacific Stock Exchange, around 24,700 shares were traded in 22 transactions amounting to $65,541 last week. Following these trades, the aggregate market capitalization fell marginally by 0.28% and closed at $3.24 billion. For currencies, the US dollar held firm despite the softer than expected US inflation data. The latest US personal consumption expenditures data showed a measure of underlying inflation rose less than expected in May. Although inflation is expected to slow towards this year end, signs of a light labor market kept many investors fretting over wage-driven price pressures. Among a raft of economic indicators due this week, Friday's payroll data for the US is a key focus. Economists are expecting an increase of 675,000 non-farm payrolls. Elsewhere, Bank of Japan policymakers hoped that accelerating coronavirus vaccinations would prop up their economy. However, they saw any inflationary pressures as subdued given the fragile recovery, according to their summary of opinion released today. And that's all from your HFC Bank for today. Vinaka.
There is a new program to support 330 Fijians who have lost their jobs due to the pandemic and are returning to rural areas to focus on agriculture. The Back to Rural Agriculture program is being run by the Ministry of Agriculture. The $400 package includes $250 worth of farming tools, $100 worth of planting materials, and $50 cash to buy any other items needed. Planting materials will also be distributed based on individual requirement and land suitability. Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy says the priority will be Fijians who have lost their jobs because of the second wave of COVID-19.
The Back to Rural Agriculture program is designed to provide a basic support to leverage them and get them to enter the agriculture sector in their respective rural areas, in the villages, in the interior settlement with ease.
And that is the latest from my end, but coming up after the break, educating younger generation on sustainable management is critical. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Educating our young generation on sustainable management of ocean resources is vital. With growing concerns around climate change, the protection of Fiji's reefs and marine species remains our priority. Jeshulal reports the Tangimodia team is helping raise awareness with young children on the importance of preserving oceans and marine species.
Global warming and its impact on coral reefs has been a challenge for Fiji, but our youth can play a major role in changing this.
The objective of the event was to raise awareness for the sustainable management of our ocean resources for our younger generation.
The organization is also sharing insights on the conservation work they do to protect the marine and terrestrial environment.
The reason why we introduced the Advocacy Challenge was to get participants thinking about other aspects that's beyond the current program exposure that they get to learn from with regard to site visits and to also go through listening to different speakers talk on different topics.
Tangimodia is also helping Fiji's commitment to achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050. Jeshulal, FBC News.
For over 20 years, Kinisemere Tamanivalu has been financially supporting her family by selling kai at the Nosori market. The 58-year-old says collecting mussels has also been a family tradition, and it's a skill she wishes to pass on to her grandchildren, especially at a time when food security is crucial. Kelly Vadala reports.
Selling kai is the only trade Kinisemere knows, and through this she has been able to send her daughter to school and keep expenses paid.
I started selling from the old market. This is the only thing that has kept me going since my husband passed away. I go with other women to collect kai early in the morning, and I have a passion about this business.
For Kinisemere, income earned helps in a contribution towards village projects as well.
There's a high demand for freshwater mussels, particularly kai, so that's why business has been going well in the past months. I guess there's a lot of people staying at home now, so they cook, and this really has boosted my sales.
Life has not been easy for Kinisemere, but at the end of the day, she's determined to take something home.
As long as you earn from an honest living, I guarantee you live a happy life. I have lived a life of struggle, but I can still work and earn money.
Like many other kai vendors, this is Sawalas dreams of establishing her own kai business and contribute to our export market. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
And in today's Q&A, Ritika Pratap speaks with the Business Link Pacific's Business Services Manager. BLP is now accepting second round of applications for the Business Adaptation Grant to assist SMEs affected by the pandemic.
Thank you, Mr. Chand. If you could shed some light on the business adaptation plan.
The Business Link Pacific, with the support from the from MFET and DFET, has launched the second round of business adaptation grant for SMEs in the region. So Fiji is part of it, and SMEs here in Fiji can apply for a business adaptation grant for their, to improve their business or to stabilize their business and come out of the financial distress that they are facing.
What was the response like from the people during the first round?
In fact, there has been, after a survey was conducted by Business Link Pacific, we found out that there is a huge demand and huge need for financial assistance, and that is why DFET and MFET have joined together, got together to assist Business Link Pacific support SMEs in the region.
If you could tell us what are some of the requirements that SMEs need to meet for applications?
Open to all the SMEs here in Fiji, and it is not restricted to a particular sector. It is open to any sector, as long as they are able to meet the criteria. They are registered business, existing registered business. They are employing less than 50 employees. And there are other criteria which they need to meet.
I believe BLP has done some assessment on the SMEs. What have you found?
We have found that SMEs are struggling because of this COVID situation, and particularly here in Fiji. And there is a huge demand for funds to support SMEs. So that is the major factor which has prompted or has encouraged BLP to open up the second round.
And Jamie is here now for all the latest in sports.
Thank you and good evening. Ahead in National Sevens coaches Gareth Beba and Sayasi Fuli will have their work cut out for them, selecting their teams to the Tokyo Olympics. After stunning performances at the Oceania Sevens over the weekend, Beba has made a special mention of 3 rookies in the men's squad, while the Fijiana's impressive showings in the women's competition will give Fuli a lot to think about. Playing against the All Blacks would be a career highlight for all, if not most, professional rugby players. Even Flying Fijians captain Levani Mbotia is excited about the opportunity of meeting the 3-time world champions.
It's a very big moment and one of the good history for my rugby career.
The players are eager to create their own legacy.
Part of the special talent in the young boys. I was excited. I think it's a good experience for most of us.
It's nice to see these players put their hands up and want to be involved. And as I said, we want continuity from the game we had in Georgia, so key figures are still there.
Some members of the team had their first training run yesterday, while the remainder who arrived later are still serving their quarantine period. The Flying Fijians will meet the All Blacks in the 2 test matches next month. Talema Terukula, FBC Sports.
New South Wales clinched the State of Origin series with a dominant victory over the Maroons last night. And to add insult to injury, it was the first time Queensland were held scoreless at Suncorp Stadium. Portugal's chances of retaining the Euro 2020 title has been shattered after suffering a narrow 1-0 loss against Belgium. Belgium took the lead just before half-time, and while the Portuguese put up a brave second-half effort, Belgium defended with valor to hold on for the win. It will be the Czech Republic against Denmark on Saturday in Baku for a place in the Euro 2020 semi-finals. This after the Czechs handed a shock 2-0 loss to the Netherlands in the round of 16 this morning. Brazil and Ecuador drew 1-1 on match day 5 of Copa America 2021 earlier today, with both teams qualifying for the quarterfinals. Brazil going to the knockouts as top of Group B without losing a game. Ecuador, on the other hand, gaining confidence for the next round of the tournament after being the only team that could scratch a point from Brazil. In play of the day, Sireli Mangala had an outstanding Oceania Sevens tournament over the weekend for Fiji. The new find showing that he could be a bolter in the final team for the Olympics, and try-scoring attributes such as this could very well play in his favor. That's it from Sports Tonight. In Weird and Wonderful after the break, we get to learn more about a frog whisperer. Find out more after the break.
Time to look at the weather for today. A high-pressure system to the southeast of Fiji directs fresh to strong easterly wind flow over the country. Now to the west, mainly fine with cloudy afternoon. Eastwards from Peck Harbour to Suva, some sun, then turning cloudy. Light showers were experienced over certain areas. Moving to the north, partly sunny and pleasant conditions. Places we will be checking out are Nosori, Savu Savu and Ba. All three had temperatures at 29 degrees, however, had cool conditions. At sea, rough seas expected and the next high tide is at 9:57 p.m. today. Sunrise at 6:38. For tomorrow, expect fresh to strong easterly winds with average speed up to 45 km per hour over Yasawa and Mamanusa Group, Kandavu, Lau and Lomaiviti Group and northern of Vanuatu. The outlook for Wednesday, cloudy periods with some showers over the eastern parts and interior of the larger islands. Our shot of the day was taken by Semesi Zauzau. This picture was taken in Rakiraki yesterday evening. Remember to send us pictures, send it with a small description to our FBC News Facebook page. That's your weather for now. It's back to Edwin.
And in Fijian Pulse, we ask, which of the new players in the Fiji 7 side would you like to see represent Fiji at the Tokyo Olympics?
I would love to see Kaminieli Rasaku in the Olympic 7 squad.
Chita Wailingolo is really good and very aggressive. Reason being, I've seen some of the games and he can be a good asset for Fiji team.
I think Sandrungu is playing well and Mangala, both of them.
It will be Sireli Mangala because he is fast, he's strong, and he has abilities to score tries.
And recapping our main stories, 241 new infections with 1 COVID death. Provincial leaders urged to encourage vaccination, and pandemic causes global disruption in medicine production. For these stories and others, tune into our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question, last week we asked, can Fiji retain its gold medal title in Rugby Sevens at the Tokyo Olympics? 52% answered yes. This week we are asking, Should vaccines be made compulsory to protect all Fijians against COVID-19? Send us newsworthy pictures and videos. Email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our various social media accounts. You can also download the FBC app to keep updated with the very latest in news and sports and listen to our 6 radio stations live. That's your news this evening. I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe. Modemanda.